right, here we are back with another episode, and thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for you know, whatever, streaming, however you're listening. Thanks. We're keeping this nice and simple, bare bones. It seems like the less work I got to do, the better. I don't know until I can think of a good idea to for just I don't know that old intro was fun. But I don't know. I'm so rambly and off topic. I didn't think it fit the podcast anymore. So I was like, you know what? Why not just do it no intro for now until I can find a song I like or something, or maybe change the name or something. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but the show's still going to be the same. It's just me talking about nonsense, and sometimes I'll have a guest on, and we'll talk about whatever I want to. Is I think I just want it to be open ended, like whatever I feel like talking about that week. If I'm talking about something that has nothing to do with current events, great. If I'm talking about a news story, sure. If something intrigues my interest, piques my interest, you know what I'm trying to say. I guess this is my own little escape from all that stuff. Is like if I could talk about funny stories or try to make this silly thing that happened to me entertainment, and it has nothing to do with how horrible the world is. Why not? I think that's kind of the goal of the podcast. I want to have fun telling stories, but I want you to listen to them and also enjoy listening to them, and have like a nice little escape. So that's kind of my intention with this. But so here we go. I want to talk about golf this week. Okay, something that I've always partially like. Okay, it's like one of those things that I look at, and I am interested in it. I'm like, okay, this is fun. It should be. Like when you're doing it, it's fun, right? But everything leading up to it, I hate. I think that's what I figured out about it as a hobby, a sport, whatever you want to call it. Because sure, I guess it is a sport. Okay, there's a skill, and the people who are the best at it are crazy, right? Like they're so good, and no one else can do that. And that's how I know it's like, okay, like I'm not gonna argue that it's not a sport or whatever. I'm not gonna be that guy. But I am gonna say, when you suck at it, it's the least fun thing you could do. Okay, like there's nothing I'd rather do less. Okay, because first of all, it's Sunday. I don't want to spend my Sunday driving an hour to a golf course just to suck at something. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing is like whoever invites you, when you're the guy who's like when you call me and ask me to golf, I know you have asked everyone you can think of, right? They're like, we just need a fourth, and I'm usually the 100th person that group called, right? They're like, well, Nate will golf. Like I'm like a good utility friend, right? Like you get down the list of people you can call to go, go golfing, do any sort of activity, be in your wedding. I've been the ninth guy. You know what I mean? Like we've been like, okay, we just need even photos. All right. So Nate, you're gonna stand at the end. We just have to add you because she wanted that extra person in there, right? And look, I get that. I get it. I'm okay with that. If that's what I can bring to the table and be good at, I kind of like that, right? Now, that being said, when people ask me to golf, knowing that it's like, well, Nate's got like a wonky club, like one of his clubs is left-handed for some reason, like I just nothing matches, nothing like, I'm the worst. I'm not prepared at all for this. But like I said, I actually enjoy the physical act of golfing. I find fun, but everything, all the tradition of it, the leading up to it, all this stuff that you got to do just to get there. And then by the time you get home, it's like you got to eat and go to bed and then wake up tomorrow and go to work. It's not how I want to spend my Sundays. Now, if it's a Monday morning and we're talking like, let's have a few day beverages and hang out on the golf course, that's fun to me. I'll do that every week, right? There's no one behind you, there's no one in front of you. There's no stress, right? Because it's supposed to be this relaxing sport, and I don't understand that at all because it stresses me the hell out. When your ball goes way off course and you're like, I could just hit somebody right now. That's stressful to me, right? One mistake, and like I said, this is my luck. Is I'm the guy that would hit somebody on the golf course. Okay. The other thing I noticed about golfers, people who golf regularly, right? And some of I have some friends who are actually really good, right? They're in leagues. They have money involved. Like they're good enough to have enough confidence that they may win some money. You know what I mean? Even though it's amongst friends or like in a league where like, it's like a casual thing. It's just something fun for them to do. They still have enough confidence to put money on their like skill set, right? And I am nowhere near that at all. I have no consistency whatsoever. Like there are times I've hit the ball and I'm like, God, I should do this every day. I'd probably be pretty good at it. But then there's like times you hit the ball, I'm like, man, I should. I'm literally embarrassed right now because all of the effort I put into just getting here, and sitting in traffic, just to come out here and to just ruin somebody's day, right? No, it's a bummer. It's not as fun. That's all. But I noticed some of my friends are casual golfers. They maybe don't golf every week in the summer, but they'll golf when a good opportunity arises, right? And they love everything about it. And now those friends are the ones that they'll call me and go, "Look, come out." And I'm like, I don't want to. I'm not very good. It's Sunday. I got to, work in the morning. I got to do this. And they're like, "Dude, it doesn't matter. None of us are that good." And then you show up and they're all amazing. And then when you get up to the tee and then you suck like you told them, and they like joke around. They're like, dude, what the hell was that? And it's like, can you see the ball on the tee? And that always makes me laugh because I'm like, well, I told you guys. I told you what to expect. And now you're getting it and you're shocked. I hate that. So over the summer, I've golfed twice, right? And I've done it enough and now I'm like, okay, I kind of got a feel for it, and this is kind of becoming fun. Like I can play my ball. I'm not playing off friend's ball or something. You know what I mean? Like I can actually play the game, because that's the most stressful part. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna hit from whoever has the best ball, and I'm like, well, then what are we doing this for? And I'm not saying we got to be like, good, but I am saying like if I got to just play from wherever, it's kind of like, what are we doing? You know? It's like saying like, okay, hey, you want to get together and play, football. Don't worry. Sometimes we're just gonna let you run it down and score. Like it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing this for? Just want a day drink? I can just do that on my patio. You know, like why do we have to bring clubs and money into this? It's like if it's a nice sunny day, it's fun on the golf course. But where else it's fun? Sitting on my balcony doing the exact same thing you're doing, but without clubs or spending money or having to drive. I could do this 10 feet from here right now and have just as nice of an afternoon as anyone who's spent all day on the golf course. But I'm the weird one. I don't know. See, this is what I'm getting nervous about. Last week I talked about getting older and like embracing it, and I think this is part of that evolution of my life where, okay, I'm getting older, I'm getting more reclusive and grumpy. Not like angry, but like grumpy. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, why would I go do this thing with my friends when I could just sit at home alone? Like that's like what I'd prefer to do for some reason. And I'm like, maybe I should have like a hobby. I mean, shit, I'm doing a podcast. I may as well try and go outside and do something. You know what I mean? Like if golf is a waste of time, what the hell am I podcasting for? You know what I mean? Like this is probably, I guess if you want to call this a hobby, compared to golf, what's more rewarding? I don't know. I'll tell you this, I've never almost accidentally killed anyone while podcasting, but golf, yeah. Oh yeah. See, this is the thing about bringing like an amateur golfer out, and I'm talking amateur. Okay, like I golf maybe 2-3 times a year, and I have to be asked 3 times. Like I said, 10th guy on the call list, right? So, yeah, so I go out, my like the in-laws family, right? They all golf. All the guys golf, and they all go I mean, they'll golf once a week. I mean, they golf and they're pretty good. And like I'm not. I'd rather them go have fun than deal with my bullshit, right? I'm like whenever we're in town, it's never really come up, but as of late, like this summer, there was a golf outing. They needed a fourth person. It was for a good cause. I'm like, you know what? I'm in. I'll do this, right? And that actually went well. Like I did okay. It was fun. We had a good time. And then just a few weeks ago, I went out with them again just for fun, and that was also a pretty good time. So now I'm like, okay, maybe I'm getting the itch a little bit, but this is the kicker, right? At the golf outing in May of this year, right? So father-in-law, his wife, and wife's brother, my brother-in-law. I'm still getting used to these terms, right? Uh, or titles. Yes, I'm still getting used to using them. So they invite me out for this golf outing. It happens to be in Chicago, so that's why it just worked out, right? Yeah, bring Nate along. You know, it's a scramble, whatever. We're playing best ball anyway, so it doesn't matter. You do it for the cause, right? And there's dinner involved. Actually, there was lunch and dinner and free drinks. So it was a great Monday. But that's the thing. It was on a Monday, and it was like great. I got nothing to do. Beautiful weather, right? Let's do this. So the day before, we do a little practice round, which was fun, and they kind of really get to see what I'm not capable of. And we have a blast. So looking forward to Monday. We go out there, whatever. Not too many, you know, where'd that one go? Not too many of those shots, right? So we're a few holes into the match, right? Match? Is that what it's called? A match? See, I don't even know these terms. We're a few holes in, right? And my father-in-law and his wife, and they're older. They're like, late 60s, something like that. And they go ahead of us to shoot from the closer tee or whatever, but they get out of the way. And this the whole thing is like, let's let them shoot, but why'd they go in front of us? Because you would think it makes more sense to let the people from further away shoot, and then the people who are shooting from closer can go, so everyone's safe, right? Just simple, like, common sense rule. But they had been playing from in front of us the whole time. We had been shooting fine. There was no reason to be alarmed. They also went, out of the way to the left. Their cart is there, and they're like way out of the way. There's no way I'm gonna hit them, right? And it's like my turn to tee off, or I think I was teeing off first, and I'm not like the best on the team, so they wanted me to go first to get it like out of the way. Like, if he has a good shot, we'll see, but if it's bad, we can play, kind of thing, right? So I go to tee off, and I'm just hyper paranoid in general, right? So I look at her brother, I'm like, they should move out of the way, right? And he goes, no, they're fine. They're way far left. And the thing is, we let them know. We said, hey, Nate's about to tee off, so pay attention, And I tee off, and the ball goes directly toward their face. And when I say directly toward their face, I mean, like, I've lost sleep over this. The fact that I was so close. I thank God I didn't hit either one of them, right? Her dad is sitting in the golf cart. His head is, it would have hit him right in the back of the head, but there was like a cover on the back that acted as like a rear window, it was like a plastic covering for your clubs or whatever. And it hit that thing. I'm probably what's a golf ball going, like, what's the average speed of a golf ball when you tee off? I'm gonna look this up because I gotta know. But it would have hit him right in the back of the head. Now imagine not being prepared for it, right? Like average speed of golf ball off tee. Let's see. Okay, now don't get me wrong, I'm not a professional golfer, so let's see. The average golf ball speed for amateur golfers is around 130 miles an hour when hitting a driver, okay? While the average on a professional tour is around 180. That is so fast. Is that that's how fast F1 drivers race, right? Like, that is okay. So let's say 100. Let's give it 130. It sure seemed like it, okay? Now this thing smacks the back of that cart, and he jumped out. His face is like ghost white, like, dude, you know. And the other part is like his wife is standing behind the cart, like in her bag, so it went like right between their heads, right? And when I say like when I don't know if anything like this has ever happened to you guys, like, but when I say I almost, because think about it, man. First of all, they're older, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I would assume an older person getting like line drive right into, they're maybe 100 yards away, maybe. I mean, it was close. 100 yards? No, 100 feet. 100 feet. 100 yards is sorry, that's a football field. They weren't quite that far away, but probably 100 feet. This is me. This is me doing math live on the podcast. But dude, they would have died, right? That's all I could think about is like, it wouldn't have been like oh shit, I hit his arm. Like, I mean, I'm talking back of the head, like line drive, 130-mile-an-hour golf ball. I could not imagine. And I don't know. It was so close. In the next like 3 holes were so uncomfortable, right? I mean, I gotta golf with these people the rest of the day, knowing that it was my mistake. But sure, we all knew what was happening. Like, Nate's about to tee off, but still, when that actually happens, there's no like it was my fault. You know what I mean? So, talk about an uncomfortable next few holes, because man, I mean, they were rattled. I mean, chain smoking. Like, yeah. Thankfully, it's a funny story for the family, right? But man, you know what the craziest part of that whole experience is? As I'm about to tee off, I'm talking to my brother-in-law, and I'm like, look, they should probably move over a little further, right? And now, mind you, they were pretty far left, so like it wasn't like, it shouldn't have been a close call, is what I'm trying to say. This is how bad I teed off. And we both looked at each other. He's like, no, man, you've been hitting them pretty straight. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds I hit them? Or even come close to hitting them, right? And as soon as I swung and hit the ball, we both went, oh, shit. And, I mean, it's like time slowed down, Like, it's going right for her face. And I'm like, oh, no, someone's about to die. But the whole time I'm like, it was so funny to me, because right before I teed off, we're like, there's no way it's gonna hit them. Right? It's like there's like an old Mitch Hedberg joke where he's like, I've never gotten a hole in one, but I have hit a guy, which is way more satisfying. That's like hitting a hole in one on some level, And it's like, you're supposed to yell 4. That's the other thing. But that's the other part of the joke, is where he's like, you're supposed to yell 4 when you might hit someone, but I was too busy mumbling, there's no way it's gonna hit him. Which, because that's like the thing, is like, you're kind of like, no, it's not gonna hit somebody. And then while you're saying that, they just get smacked in the face. That's my biggest. And ever since then, I've been just rattled by it. Like, when we went out the second time, every hole, I'm like, stand behind me. I'm not dealing with this, okay? I'm not going to hit somebody, and I'm definitely not going to hit somebody I know, okay? If it can be prevented, okay? That's my big rule, is like, just let me tee off first. Everyone stand behind me, because, like, who knows, right? Like, who knows? And that's the craziest part, is that was my worst drive of the whole day. So I don't know. So ever since that incident, I have been invited twice since to go golfing. So I think they've forgiven me. But man, that was a tense 20 minutes after that. But beyond that, we were good. We're all good now. But man, so be careful out there if you decide to invite an amateur golfer out on the course. So it's what? It's about 1 in the afternoon at the time I'm recording, right? So like right now, while I'm recording, it's 1 in the afternoon, and I'm drinking coffee, and I've become an all-day coffee drinker. I'm trying to, eat better. This is my problem, is I can never do it exactly perfect, right? I think this means I may have an issue, but like I haven't had alcohol in a few weeks. I'm trying to take a month off, just to take a break, right? Because like I get to a point where I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just drinking a little too much. But the fact that I can take a month off and then beyond that, right? Like I could keep going. Tells me at least I have it under control. Like I can always stop. So that's my dilemma. Is where I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna drink for a month. Just relax, dial it back a little bit, right? But in that sober time, quote sober, right? You know, I'm smoking cigars left and right. This has become and that's nicotine, right? So like this is becoming a whole separate issue where I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not damaging my liver, but now I'm just onto another vice, right? And now it's coffee. Well, it's always been coffee, and this is my dilemma with coffee, okay? Because I drink it all day now, and I'm drinking like strong stuff. I'll make like cold brews and stuff like that, and I'm starting to get like become a chemist about it, which I love because first of all, a nice good quality coffee will just make your day so much better, right? And it's become my thing every morning, right? Start my day with coffee. This is my ritual, if you will. And let's be honest, of all the addictions, this is the one that it's okay to have, right? It won't hurt you that much. Like, I mean, first of all, everything's going to hurt you. I'm tired of all these studies that say, you can find a study on red meat causes cancer. Then you'll find a study that being a vegan you might be missing out on whatever, and then there's no right or wrong way to go about this life, right? So if you find a thing that works for you and you feel good and you're not hurting anybody, who gives a shit, right? If you like to eat meat, great. This has become my attitude around health lately. Now, uh, back to coffee. Caffeine is a drug, right? It is legit a drug, but it's a legal drug because also it doesn't make you, you know, if anything, it makes you drive a car better because you're a little more alert. I guess you can be too alert because I don't know, but it's a drug you can do while you drive. What better drug is there, right? Caffeine, man. Give me that cup of coffee every morning. Now, if there were anything else that I needed before I started my day, right? Let's say alcohol. If I had to have a beer in the morning, I'm being judged. I'm being brought to meetings. I'm being intervened. You know, let's take another addiction, right? Well, I guess cigarettes. You still get judged if you're a smoker nowadays, right? However, you can vape all day. No one says a word, right? But man, if you smoke cigarettes, people will be like, "Okay, go outside, get out of here." Like I don't want to see you. So I feel bad for smokers in that regard. However, still a drug, still an addiction. Go outside, right? I don't want to see it. I don't want to smell it. Now, cocaine, right? If I had a cocaine addiction and I had to start my day with a line of cocaine, boy, would I be in some trouble with my close friends and family, right? That they'd probably say something. However, if I'm a jerk in the morning because I haven't had my cup of coffee, it's like, oh, get him his cup of coffee, or why don't you make some coffee so you don't have an attitude anymore. It's just so funny how this is the one thing you can be addicted to, and no, everybody's cool. It's like just have it. You can wait in line for hours for it. No one's gonna stop you. But this is the thing: is I just want this is like the one thing, and I probably will never be able to give up. Just because, first of all, I actually am one of those psychos that loves like the flavor of black coffee. Right? I don't put anything in it. I don't need anything extra. Nothing special. Just simple black cup of coffee, iced, cold, whatever. So yeah, so now I'm drinking it all day. Like I said, like if I did any other sort of addictive activity, I'd be in a lot of trouble. So the fact that I can narrow it down to just this, I get to keep this one thing. I'm going to take a month off of the alcohol. I'm going to try and eat pretty clean for this month, right? Just see how much better I feel. First of all, I'm sleeping better, which is great. You don't even realize it. I'm in bed at 10 o'clock every night, asleep by 10:15. It's great. And it's also another sign. I feel like just the theme of my life right now is just uh, griping about getting older. But that's another example. I think I talked about it last week too. Like If I don't have a show or if I'm not going out on a Friday, dude, I'm in bed by 10 on a Friday night and I'm happy about it. I'm like, oh, I have nothing to do. I can sleep in tomorrow. Sometimes you need those nights. But man, it is funny how there was a time where I was out until 3 a.m., right? Just doing whatever. Nothing bad either. Like nothing bad, nothing just like it was just out. I was at a friend's house. We were here, we were there. I was doing a show. And I didn't get back till 3. Like you go out after the show. And now it's like I'm doing a show and I'm going home. That's the one thing I like about doing comedy in this like modern era. Like there are still many people who have like substance abuse issues. I mean, I've met many of them. I know some of them and they're dealing with it, but you know, back in the 80s, if you were doing stand up, you had a drug problem. And you made a lot of money, but you spent it on drugs. That's why a lot of those comics are broke now or they don't do it anymore. And I'm talking about comics that never really, hit like a HBO or Johnny Carson level, but they were just touring. Basically what I'm doing, right? They're just out doing shows. But back then, you made a lot of money. Now you're not. So that's the main difference. But that's what I love about this is like no one's expected to hang out after. If anything, they kind of like it. Every once in a while, there'll be a venue or a club. If you go there once a year, the staff that works there becomes like friendly and your buddies. And then you go out and have a drink after. Or maybe you stick around at the club after the show while everyone cleans up, counts their till, counts their tips, closing up shop. You have a shift drink, right? So sometimes that's fun for the places that are really fun to go to. But yeah, nowadays, for the most part, it's like, no, we don't have to just go home. Everybody just goes home. Go to your hotel. You're not expected to party with them. It's nuts. But it's crazy that that's how it once was. But also now I'm like, God, I'm so glad there just aren't. Everybody's pretty cool for the most part. Everybody's fine. Some people get a little crazy, but for the most part, it's pretty tame. Oh, by the way, since I've been doing this little cleanse here, I'm doing 30 days, right? Leading up to my wedding. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try and lose a few pounds, just cramming it in right before the wedding. It's like when you study for a test the night before. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait until 30 days out and then just stop everything. Just no drinking, no, I'm going to try and eat healthy and just try and lose a few. And I'm down about 15, 20 pounds. So I'm hoping this tuxedo of mine will fit. And then, on the big day, I'm just going to let loose. That's kind of the plan, right? Like I've kind of like earned it. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes, right? Because I tell myself, I'm like, I'm not gonna drink too much, right? I'm gonna have some drinks, but I want to like be present and enjoy the night. And then we'll see. I don't know. It's easy to say that, but I don't know. A month off of alcohol. Once you start drinking, those first 2 drinks, you're gonna be like, whoa, I am an alcoholic again. All right. Well, thanks for listening again. And we'll be back next week. In the meantime, hit me up on social media. I would love to hear from you. I think I'm going to start polling the audience for show content, if you will. That's a hot term for the content creation biz. So look out for that. Also, I'll be hitting the road again, okay? Now that I got the home situation figured out, the wedding's just about done. So once all that's over, man, I'm hitting the hard, hitting the hard. I'm hitting the paint hard, right? I'll be on the road. I'll be doing shows, and I would love to see you at one of them. So if you can, like I said, hit me up on social media. I'll let you know where I'm gonna be. Look for those dates, and if not, keep listening to the podcast. I would appreciate it. And tell some friends, share it, rate, review, do all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week with another brand new episode. Thanks for listening.